Hello, John and Jane here from Maverick AV Solutions. We're the Pro AV division of Tech Data, and we're going to talk to you today about using collaboration in the workplace.
So we use virtual meetings every day of our lives, and we just want to share with you what we've learned, some of the best practices and some hints and tips for being a remote participant in a meeting. 54% of all meetings include a remote participant, but we know that figure is just going to get higher and higher as we go through this period of time.
So how do you organise a meeting? Well, firstly, please remember the participants. Different time zones, different countries. Be aware of where people are when they're going to be joining your meeting.
Thanks, John. So as a remote participant, when I'm joining the meeting, I want to join using my camera so people can see me and making sure I've got the right audio and microphone settings. The last thing we want in a remote meeting is for us not to be heard or seen properly. So make sure you join properly.
Excellent.
So how do we make best use of the technology that's already in the meeting space? Do you remember, John, when we all huddled around that star phone because we couldn't hear the participant?
Yep.
Well, as a remote participant, it's really important that you are heard and that you can hear well what's happening in the meeting space. There's also functionality of using whiteboard, which is really important when you're brainstorming or ideation, so the remote participant is equally as engaged into that meeting as the in-room participants.
You can do lots of things to really make the user participation experience so much better. You can poll to ask questions. You can use chat to ingest information and get people involved in the meeting. And you can also remember to record and get transcripts of that recording so you can send the meeting out afterwards and people can review the meeting and check understanding.
So you're a remote participant and you want to look professional during the call. How do you do that? Well, dress as if you normally would work at any time. Just because you're working from your dining room or your bedroom, don't be dressed in your PJs. Also, think about the lighting. If you've got lighting from behind, you're just going to appear as a silhouette in the front, so that's not going to look great either. You can actually totally take out of the background completely. You can blur it.
I'm not the background.
On blur.
Well, thank you. One of the other things is think about your camera shot. The biggest mistake people make is they put a low down PC and that just has a terrible picture of you and it's not flattering at all. So what you should use is something like the LOGITECH Brio, which is a fantastic camera, and you can mount that high and eye level, so it's a great picture. If you haven't got something like the Brio, just raise your laptop up to eye height. That makes such a big difference in terms of your look. So the next thing to think about is great audio, which is really important in the meeting environment. Firstly, I highly recommend you check your audio before the meeting starts. And secondly, make sure you've got the right equipment. Make sure the right microphone is either separate microphone or use the laptop or even the microphone in your Logitech Brio.
Thanks, John. That's a great tip. Sometimes you can't control the audio, though, in your environment. It might be noisy. So actually use something like the Logitech Zones headset. It's noise cancelling and it's got a great microphone for picking up your voice. The other things you can't control are maybe interruptions. The doorbell ringing or the dog barking. We're on a remote participant. We all expect those sort of things, but try and keep them to a minimum.
Absolutely. So let's finish off, Jane, by looking at our top tips on how to make video conferencing calls really good. Firstly, make sure you mute when you're not talking and use that space bar. It's a really great way of muting and unmuting yourself. Make sure the camera height is absolutely spot on. It needs to be eye level to make you look great. Check into meetings early. There's nothing worse than being late. And I always have a fallback. My final one is have a fallback just in case that video conference goes down due to networks. Have the dial-in number available. Nothing worse than trying to find that dial-in number. So that's my 4 top tips.
Excellent, thank you. So for me, it's actually dress appropriately, dress as if we were going to be at work. If you're having a collaborative meeting, make sure you use the technology such as whiteboard so you can actually ideate together. Take breaks. There's nothing worse than a 2-3 hour meeting and you've not got up to stretch your legs. And my final top tip is blur. No, it doesn't work. Blur, don't forget to blur your background. Stops any distractions.
Great. Thank you very much for listening. Look forward to sharing more ideas on video conferencing with you at another time.